Hi, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to our 2020 Board of County Commissioners Virtual Candidates Forum, sponsored by the Geneva Citizens Association and co-hosted by Save Rural Seminole and the Black Hammock Association. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce each one of you folks by name, and maybe you can just wave to the vast audience that we have out there. First one would be Pernell Bush, Democrat from District 5.
How's it going?
Hi, Pernell. Second one would be Andre Klaas, non-party Libertarian candidate from District 5. Andre?
Yep. Good evening, everybody. A pleasure to be here, and thank you for this opportunity.
And then the last candidate in District 5 is Andre. He's the Republican candidate. Hi, Andrea.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having us.
Wave. Okay. Now we move to District 3. First one is Kimberly Bouquet and Bukai. I'll get that right someday. I know. I had it right before. Okay. She's Democrat candidate for District 3. Hi, Kimberly. Wave. And is Lee around yet?
He just came in.
Is it? Next candidate, District 3, Lee Constantine, Republican. Lee, if you'd wave to me.
I think he's still connecting.
Is he there yet?
He's in, but he's not.
Okay, you want to back to him?
And that's fine.
Well, I had introduced him. Okay, and now we go to District 1. Shaddix, Democrat candidate. Hi, Katrina. Wave. This Lee.
I'm in.
Okay, so we'll go back to you, Lee. Constantine, Republican candidate. Just
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Richard, you're muted.
he says I'm muting.
Can you hear you now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so Lee, did you wave to everybody?
I can hear you now. What did you ask
Okay,
me?
wave. Say hi, Lee.
Hi.
Okay, and the last candidate is Bob Delary, Republican, District 1.
Hi, Richard. Good evening, everyone.
How you doing? Okay, the format tonight is going to be similar to what we did for the primary virtual candidates forum. We'll ask all questions with a 3-minute maximum response time. At the end of 3 minutes, if you're not finished, you'll be told, and we'll give you another 20 seconds. And at that point, if you're still not finished, you will be muted. Then do question 2 the same way. And after we get done with everybody answering the questions, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. So the first question will be for Pernell Bush in District 5. And the question is, would you introduce and support for the 2022 ballot 2 charter amendments requiring a supermajority of 4 affirmative votes to, number 1, approve any zoning changes in all of the unincorporated areas of the county, and 2, alteration of any property status within the rural boundary? Please explain. Pernell.
Yes, I appreciate that question, Richard. Just like I stated back in the primary, I am someone that's fully for protecting our rural boundary and strengthening what we have with the 2004 charter. So I would be someone that would definitely advocate for us bringing that into the ballot in 2022. So we should either have a supermajority vote where we have 4-1 for the commission, or a 5-0 unanimous vote for any type of alteration or changes in the rural boundaries. For myself, I'm a firm believer that our rural boundaries shouldn't have any changes whatsoever. But however, we need to make sure we have strong protection when it comes to upholding what our citizens asked for in 2004. So yes, I will be someone that will definitely advocate and push to make sure that we have the charter, that charter onto the 2022 ballot, and that our citizens.
Okay, and the other thing, Purnell, was the first part of the question. Would you introduce something for the ballot to approve the zoning change in all of the unincorporated areas of the county? That would include the Wekiva area
Wekiva protection area
as the rural area.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. The Wekiva protection area is something that between the rural area and the Wekiva protection area, I would like to introduce something to protect all those unincorporated areas. Currently, I feel as if those areas are getting taken advantage of, currently, especially in the Wekiva area. So we need to ensure that we strengthen the protection for our citizens. And I believe they all spoke up and said, hey, listen, we want smart development. So in order to ensure that we have strong protection, that is something I would love to introduce on the 2022 ballot.
Thank you, Purnell. Appreciate that. And the next question, which will be the same one, will go to Andre Class. Andre, do you want me to repeat the question?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Would you introduce and support for the 2022 ballot 2 charter amendments requiring a supermajority of 4 affirmative votes to, number 1, any zoning changes in all of the unincorporated areas of the county, and the second charter amendment would be to require a supermajority to alter any property status within the rural boundary?
Well, thank you for asking, Richard. And absolutely, I truly believe that keeping these decisions with the citizens of our great county is of paramount importance. And the citizens truly believe in the importance of our green space, our natural wilderness areas. And so I would definitely support both amendments. Of course, the rural boundary, we are celebrating the 30-year anniversary of the original referendum, which brought it into being. And of course, in 2004, there was that secondary referendum amending the charter to put that authority for the rural boundary in the hands of the county commission. Those are very, very important reasons why I support this, and they are reasons that are supported unilaterally by both progressives, conservatives, and independent minds alike. One, the importance of our natural environment, protecting threatened species, and also the importance of preserving that natural floodplain that, think about it, if you build something there, where's all that water going to go? It's going to go right into development. Secondly, of course, protecting taxpayers from the cost impacts of urban sprawl. And it would probably be a very, very heavy burden of supplying utilities and infrastructure to build out that type of area anyway. And that's not something I want to see happen. And of course, standing for the will of the people is...
You have 20 seconds to finish up.
All right. It's very important for me as your next commissioner to stand for the will of the people, and the people want the rural boundary protected, and there absolutely should be a supermajority vote to protect the interests of the citizenry. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Okay.
I'm sorry I went over time on that.
That's okay. I'm just trying to figure out how to stop my little thing here.
Yeah, give me the phone and I'll,
Dismiss.
all right, I'm gonna keep the stopwatch.
Okay, start at 3 minutes. Okay.
Hold on,
So-
let me stop and clear.
The question again, the same question will be for Andrea. Andrea, do you like me to repeat it?
Sure, Richard, thank you.
Okay, sure. Would you be willing to introduce and support for the 2022 ballot 2 charter amendments requiring a supermajority of 4 affirmative votes to, number 1, approve any zoning changes in all of the unincorporated areas of the county, and the second charter amendment would be to have a supermajority alter any property status within the rural boundary? And please explain.
Sure. So first of all, I support protecting the rural boundary, and I support protecting the environment generally, not only in Seminole County, but regionally, because where one goes, we all go. And that actually is a global impact, right? So a couple of different things. Number one, there was mention earlier about requiring a unanimous vote. And I'm going to be real clear that I don't think that's how democracy works. And so I would not support anything with regard to a unanimous vote on a board of county commissioners. That being said, if we wanted to take this to the voters to determine how they'd like this governed, then taking it to the voters is a fine idea. What I would not think I would do is treat one area of the county differently than the other area of the county. So from my perspective, we could bring both and the voters could decide. But if it were me voting, I would think that the entire county would deserve the same protections.
Okay, well, that's why the first part of that question was to require a supermajority for zoning changes in all of the county. That includes the rural boundary area and the rest of the county that's not within the cities. So
I think it's the voters'
Same.
decision. So I'm giving you
Rural-
the answer. So the answer to the question about would I take it to a referendum is sure, let the voters decide. And then I gave you full disclosure of how I would vote as a voter.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, the same question now will go to Kimberly, District 3 Democrat candidate. Kendall, you'd like me to repeat the question again?
No, I think I've got it. Thank you, Richard.
Okay,
I I'm going to thread the needle here and agree with most of what I've heard. I will support introducing and supporting charter amendments for the citizens of Seminole County to decide how they'd like us to consider these special properties that we've already decided that we hold very dear. So my personal opinion is not as important as what the citizens of Seminole County want to try to accomplish, but I would facilitate that. And I just want to talk about a little bit about what we're talking about here with the rural area and the Wekiva protection area. The rural area is about 34% of the county and the eastern section, and the Wekiva protection area is about 30 square miles. Did I say acres? I'm so used to acres. Square miles. So we've got 345 square miles total in the county, and we're talking about special protections on about 40% of the county. And we have designated these areas, the Wekiva protection area, by legislation. This is state legislated protections. And I'm not even so sure that we're doing so well at following up on those protections. We have a special checklist for projects that go in through the Wekiva protection area, and I think that's important. I'd like to see a special checklist for the rural area also. I think that, I think I answered the question, but I do support greater protections on the properties that we have decided to protect. And did I get what you wanted, Richard?
yes, you did.
Okay, I'll stop there.
Probably had the same idea that Andrea did, that you would introduce and support putting these before the voters so that the people can decide whether they want them or not.
Yes, but I think we've already voted that we want these areas to have special protection. A 4/5 vote instead of a 3 out of 5 vote, I think would help strengthen the protections. I think it's a good idea. I don't think that unanimous is very realistic. So I would think that 4 out of 5, that most of the citizens that I talk to would think that that's a good idea. In fact, I think
Okay.
all changes in the rural boundary should have to go through the commission.
Okay, thank you very much. And the same question now would be for Lee Constantine. Lee is the Republican candidate for District 3. Lee, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, it's been a while since I heard the question. Please.
Okay. Would you be willing to introduce and support for the 2022 ballot 2 charter amendments requiring a supermajority of 4 affirmative votes to, number 1, approve any zoning changes in all of the unincorporated areas of the county, no exceptions. And the second one would be to require a supermajority of 4 votes to alter any property status within the rural boundary. Please explain.
I think you were cut off there for a minute, but let me just be very clear. I've been with and talked with many of you from the very beginning when we're talking about the rural boundary. And I said then that I felt that it would be, a good idea to actually open it up and do a referendum on the rural boundary again. I would support a 4/5 vote charter amendment. I would support putting it on the ballot for those that wish to vote on it. My concern would be if it was defeated, would that hurt some people, in the eyes of some people, the rural boundary? And I think that first and foremost, we need to protect the rural boundary. So, but I would be willing to put that on the ballot. As far as a unanimous vote, I would not be, and I think that that would be wrong for anybody. And I've been on the short end of the stick, as all of you know, many, many times, 4-1, 3-2 votes in zoning. But I do believe that the majority does rule, and that's why you elect 5 county commissioners. So I would not be in favor of a unanimous. I would like to correct something that the others have said already, and I'm not saying that they trying to mislead or anything, but the Wekiva Parkway and Protection Act, which I wrote in 2004 in the legislature and built that consensus, unanimous consent, and it was passed both legislatures unanimously, does not allow any change in zoning in the Wekiva protection area. What was there before is what's there now and cannot be changed. I will tell you that I do also believe one more thing that nobody has talked about. I think I would look very closely at a comp plan change, not zoning, but comp plan change that would need a supermajority, potentially putting that on the ballot. But I want everybody to know that Wekiva Parkway and Protection Area that is designated by law cannot be, the zoning cannot be changed from what it was back in 2004. Unless it's a change of the legislature, which, by the way, they haven't changed that piece of legislation since I passed it unanimously in 2004.
Thank you. The reason that question is on there is that there have been a few recent occurrences where zoning changes had passed by a 3-2 vote against intense opposition of the residents of the area. That's why we wanted to make the supermajority vote for zoning changes to apply to all of the unincorporated areas of the county, the rural boundary area being treated the same way as any other areas outside the 7 cities.
And Richard, being on the bottom end of that 3-2, many of those 3-2 votes, most of those 3-2 votes, if not all of them, I will tell you that, again, I can see a difference in doing that for the comp plan as opposed to zoning.
Right, okay, thank you. Okay, now we have the same question. We go to District 1, and the first one to answer would be Katrina Shaddix, the Democrat candidate. Would you like me to repeat the question, Katrina?
I think I'm good. I just want to confirm I have 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Okay, and you can hear me. So yes, my answer is yes, absolutely yes to both. And here's why. In 2018, I was the most formidable opponent to the rural boundary threat known as the River Cross development. Not only did I create a petition opposing River Cross and gather thousands of signatures for it, I hired a court reporter and an attorney, and they both joined me at the Seminole County Commission meeting, during which I informed the River Cross developer that I would sue him if even 1 inch of wildlife habitat was destroyed for River Cross. In 2018, I also decided to run for county commission against Jay Zimbauer because of his support for urban sprawl development and because of the astronomical amount of campaign donations he accepted from developers and pro-develop entities like former county commissioner turned developer Randy Morris and Randy's RM Strategies company and John Miklos and his biotech engineering company that is often hired by developers to provide environmental impact reports that frequently end up falsely minimizing the environmental impacts that a development will have. So here I am 2 years later wearing the same shirt that I wore in the 2018 Geneva Citizens Association Candidate Forum and sounding the same alarm, warning everyone about what happens when we elect county commissioners who take developer money. A citizen shouldn't have to spend the time, energy, and money and sleepless nights like I did to get the commission to do the right thing. So I was born here. I'm invested heart, mind, body, and soul in Seminole. I'm going to fight for us till my dying day. And that includes passing better protections, including a supermajority vote for zoning changes and for all of the county, and for altering land use property statuses that you mentioned. So I'm all for it. And regardless if I win or not, I will be fighting to get that done.
Thank you, Katrina. Appreciate that. And now we have the same question to our last candidate, who's Bob Delary. Bob, do you want me to repeat the question?
Richard, I've heard enough times, I believe I understand the question, but thank you. Richard, I would definitely support both initiatives if the voters decided to do it, or we should do it as a board. I believe that if we hear from enough people that we should be able to do that without a problem. So yes and yes, I have stood tall and strong to protect the rural boundary, not just in this last barrage of attacks, but since the creation of the rural boundary. I was also on the City Council of Oviedo when we created the rural boundary. I believe in the rural boundary. I believe in the protection of the rural boundary. I stood tall, and I will always stand tall to protect the rural boundary, as well as the Wekiva area. Myself and Commissioner Constantine have stood very tall on both times. And I will tell you, I've lost many of votes, 3-2, to change zoning. But I also believe that Commissioner Constantine has an interesting idea by saying we should have, it should include the comp plan. The comp plan, as people may not realize, is truly the Bible on how things happen with the county for development. Even though zoning is important, the comp plan is just as important, if not more important. And I believe that we should be looking at all of that. So to answer your question, yes and yes. But I also want to make sure your viewers here truly understand and know that from the beginning of the rural boundary, when it was designed to protect the eastern part of Seminole County, I was there. I'm still there, and I will always be there to protect the rural boundary. Is that clear, Richard?
Yes, Bob, thank you. Okay, that answers the question 1. We'll now go on to question 2. And the first one for this question again will be Pernell Bush in District 5. And the question is, it's a little bit wordy, but hopefully you can pick up on it. Would you support establishing a permanent community committee of not more than 6 persons appointed by the Geneva Citizens Association to participate in the review of all development applications submitted to the county for properties located within the rural boundary? The purpose of this committee would be to ensure that the comprehensive plan and the land development code, along with other relevant documents, are properly followed to promote the compatibility of any proposed development with existing rural and agricultural lands. Please explain.
That was very wordy there, Richard. So what I'm hearing there is opportunity to empower our citizens to take part in what's going to take place here in the development in Seminole County. So I would strongly support a review committee to make sure that we are following our comprehensive plan. Oftentimes we have plans that they get put together, they get put on the shelf. So if we're able to have a committee of citizens who are appointed by those who they trust in their communities to make sure that we are following the plan that we all put together and not just having words on a piece of paper that's put on the shelf, I believe that is something that we can do to help strengthen strengthen and empower our citizens, give them more faith in the process and system that we have here in Seminole County. So to make it more simplified, yes, I believe we should have a review committee.
Thank you. And if I just might embellish on that a little bit, for many years there has been a development advisory board which meets basically every month with the county staff to review things on development. And they basically are taking the side of development. We're more towards the side of preservation. So we feel if we had a committee on our side, that it would kind of equalize a little bit the influence that the DAB has with the county.
No, how's it?
Okay.
Comment.
No. So was that a question, Rich, or was that an explanation? My apologies.
No, that was an explanation.
Okay, that was an explanation.
Great, it was
Okay.
spot on, and we understand.
I'm trying to make sure I was
perfectly, and I thank you
seeing
for
it
that.
properly. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the same question now will go to Andre Class. Andre, do you want me to repeat the question or not?
You can go ahead and repeat the question.
Repeat it, okay. Would you support establishing a permanent community committee of not more than 6 persons appointed by the Geneva Citizens Association to participate in the review of all development applications submitted to the county for properties located within the rural boundary? The purpose of this committee would be to ensure that the comprehensive plan and land development code, along with other relevant documents, are properly followed to promote the compatibility of any proposed development with existing rural and agricultural lands. Please explain.
Thank you, Richard. And absolutely, the purposes of citizens advisory boards and citizen advisory committees are to help give citizens an even greater control and even greater voice in that process. And restoring that power to them is absolutely important. And whatever opportunities and whatever methods that are available to empower our citizens absolutely needs to be taken under advisement. And so I would definitely support the idea of creating a committee, especially for such a critical purpose. I'm still in a bit of shock at what's going on with the Burrow Pit with the proposed ski lake development. And it upsets me greatly, the idea that when our government does something that is not only wrong and unjust, but actually breaches the guidelines of what was set forth by the citizenry and our comprehensive plan and zoning arrangements, that citizens should actually have to shell out big bucks of their own money to contest an improper and possibly illegal decision. And of course, any elected official should welcome the opportunity to be able to bring on more citizens. And we got to keep doing everything we can to ensure that everyday people like you and me, especially those who are most knowledgeable on these subjects, will be able to have their voice taken into account directly by our leadership. And so absolutely, Richard, I definitely support the creation of such a committee.
Thank you, Andre. And just so that everybody would understand, I really don't want to make any more comments about the ski lake if we can, because it's something that it will be coming before the county commission, and a couple of our incumbent people or whoever might be elected to the seats are going to have to vote on this. And I don't want to put them in a position where they could be considered to have taken a position before the item was put before the commission. But I do appreciate where you're coming from. Okay, the same question now will go to Andrea Herr, the Republican candidate for District 5. Andrea, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I don't think I need you to repeat the question. The answer is pretty simple. It's a yes. And I might make a suggestion that you make it either 5 or 7 citizens so that you can figure out what the majority is that you want in that room as well. So typically committees aren't even numbers in government. That's just my only thought. But certainly a committee to be more involved and to provide input and some level of scrutiny is certainly worthy.
That's perfect. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add? Okay, now the next question goes to Kimberly Buchheit in District 3. And Kimberly, do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I think I've got it. And I'm going to back up a little bit and get a little bit more general. I support having the committee, the type of committee that you're mentioning, Richard, but I also support more involvement from citizens. I am out here seeing that we need some more oversight and accountability from the various different elected officials and staff members, and I'd like to see more transparency in general. I think that the type of committee that you're suggesting will aid in that. It will also help more citizens get involved and have a voice. I'm not sure how to structure that because there are already existing committees that the county commissioners are required to fill certain appointments on all those different committees. So I think a good idea would be to look at all the citizens advisory committees that we have now, make sure there isn't duplication, make sure that there's efficiency involved, and that I think more citizens advisory boards would give more people a chance to feel like they had a voice, which I think is part of what's lacking in our current structure. So this may take a little structural revision to make it effective, but I think it's a good idea and I would support it.
Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate it very much. And the same question now goes to Lee Constantine, Republican candidate for District 3. Lee, do you want me to repeat the question? Lee?
You're on mute.
I heard the question, and let me just say, number one, I'm glad that you brought this question up because it's not that I would, I already have. In our retreats, I requested a citizens environmental committee and said that that was important because we already had a number of other committees that were looking at other things, and I felt that an environmental committee was extremely important for the citizens. And I also supported and asked for the revision or the revising of the Citizens Academy. And Bob, Commissioner Delory, supported me on that also, and we instituted that, which I think, Mr. Claus, you were a member of, or you went to the first committee of the Citizens Academy. So yes, I believe that more citizen participation. I believe in an environmental committee. And then let's talk about the rural boundary. From the beginning, Mr. Creedon, you and many others sat down with me and I gave you different options and opportunities. And I felt that that was a citizens committee from there. You all have done a remarkable job in the rural boundary and Black Hammock area, in the Geneva citizens, in protecting that area. And you were with me when we were fighting the 3 Mile Island amendment that we got defeated. You were with us in packing the room when we voted against the river cross. You were with us when we voted to stop the swap. And and then the attorney came back, said you need to give him a chance to be better in federal. We did. He showed his true colors. You went out, got motivated. All of you did. We did. It changed many of my fellow commissioners' minds. I made the motion to stop the swap. I also want you to know that I spent 4 hours in a deposition from them on camera, showing that our case was the right case when it comes to that. And this year, let alone, we had to fight again, 410. And we're going to have to continue to fight. And we need people that know how to do that. And with 410, with my position as vice president of the Florida Associations of Counties, I got them. I got the Florida Conservation Coalition, which I co-chair with Governor Bob Graham. And I got the 1,000 Friends of Florida, the most preeminent organization in growth management in the state, which I'm a board of director of, also to fight it. And we got that amendment in 410 defeated. So my performance and what I do every day to protect the rural boundary is unquestioned, I hope. And I will continue to fight for the rural boundary, for the environment of this county, and for the citizens' participation.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that very much. We now move into District 1 candidates, and the first one to answer would be Katrina Shaddix, Democrat candidate. Katrina, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think I'm good. I think I got it. My
Okay.
important question is, can you see my beautiful dog Mia tonight?
It's a little bit dark, but I can see the outline of it.
Yeah, she's a good girl. All right. Yes, I would absolutely support it, and I love it. I love the idea. And why is, sorry, did you say something? Oh, Lee was laughing. Okay. Why would I support this? Because Seminole County needs to be able to live up to our motto, Florida's natural choice. Because for years, what have we been? Florida's developer choice. We're now seeing the results of what happens when we put developer-backed candidates on the Seminole County Commission. We get commissioners who sympathize with the developers, who don't want proper public input to oppose those developments that cause higher taxes, flooding, and threats to our drinking water supply. These developments continue to privatize the profits while socializing the cost. And not only would I love a citizens committee for the rural boundary, we need citizen committees to represent all the other areas throughout Seminole. Right now out in West Sanford, they're dealing with an onslaught of irresponsible development. I happened to be at a meeting, an activist meeting there last night. Purnell was also there. This group of citizens is very, very upset about all of these developments that are being proposed there. One happens to be a gas station in the Wekiva Protection Area. Another, some high density apartments. But when I left that meeting last night, the neighborhood that I went through was one of these urban sprawl neighborhoods that was built a few years ago, right in the middle, you know, black bear habitat right next to Black Bear Wilderness Area. And when we walked out, it was like floating St. Augustine grass. It was flooding just after a small 5-minute rain. I think the flooding might be the most drastic threat to the quality of life. They're completely flooded out there. They can't handle any more development, but they're having to spend, we were there for 4 hours last night, planning on, you know, what we're gonna go over, how we're going to address P&Z. Citizens shouldn't have to be investing this much time and energy in this stuff, but we're doing it because the developers have had their way for 2 decades in this county. I want that to stop. We need citizen committees like this, not just for the rural boundary, but for the entire county, and I would love to help you make that happen. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Katrina. The same question now will be asked to Bob Delary, Republican candidate for District 1. Bob, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you, Richard. I've heard it a couple times again.
Okay.
I would support a committee, no doubt. Absolutely, yes. Community input, citizen input is key on every decision we make. I will tell you that I routinely speak to citizens on a regular basis about not just urban growth, but sustainability. Sustainability is truly the key because it handles more than just, you know, zoning. So not only should we have citizens input on zoning changes, but also for sustainability. That will handle a lot of other issues as well. I will tell you that water, as we move forward in the next couple of years, is going to be the biggest commodity we have. And we need to make sure that we save our precious aquifer. And in the Geneva area, the Geneva lens is precious for twofold. One is it's a drinking source for the Geneva area, but the second piece of it is that it actually is the buffer that holds the saltwater intrusion from the coast. That's why, for me, it's a critical piece for not just the citizens of Geneva, but the citizens of all of Seminole County. So to answer your question, Richard, yes, I would support it. We've done other things, as Commissioner Constantine talked about. We wanted to have more citizens input. We talked about that on retreat. Unfortunately, we just haven't gotten to it yet, but I can tell you that both Commissioner Constantine and I have spoken about that, and I know that in the future, with the help of other citizens and other commissioners, I'm sure we can get there. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you all for answering both of the questions. That you didn't speak like politicians. You spoke like, you know, real people down to earth, and we appreciate that very much. We'll now move to the closing statements, and we'll do that in the same order that we asked the other questions. You have 2 minutes for the closing statement, and the first one would be Purnell Bush. And again, this is an election push, so please say why we should vote for you and not why we should not vote for your opponent, if you're going to use that in your little piece. Okay, Prince.
Well, I can tell you, like, once again, I want to say thank you all for having us this evening. Really, I'm here to earn your vote. I'm someone that's going to stand for the citizens. I'm someone that's going to have open door policy for our citizens to come and speak with me. My background of just being from Seminole County and the love that I have for Seminole County, I want to ensure that we stay true to our name, the natural choice. So at the end of the day, I want to ensure that our citizens understand they will have a voice with me. I'm less likely than any of my opponents to be at the golf club or the country club with developers. At the end of the day, I want to be someone that's for the citizens. You all know where you can meet me at. I'm more open and available. As Katrina said, you reach out to me, I'm someone that's going to reach back out to ensure that I'm communicating and understand what your needs are. I am a servant. As a United States Marine and as a social worker, that is the core of my bloodline, is to serve others. So I can guarantee you, if I'm your next county commissioner, you have someone that is a public servant and understand that in this chain of command, the citizens are the ones that I want to answer to.
Thank you, Brunel. The next closing statement, 2 minutes, would be Andre Class, the non-party affiliated Libertarian candidate for District 5. 2 minutes, Andre.
Before I start, I want to clarify that the Libertarian Party is actually a partisan affiliation. So I will be appearing on the ballot with the abbreviations LPF, indicating registration under the Libertarian Party of Florida.
I apologize for that.
Yeah, no problem. I don't want you to end up getting yourself into hot water, but it's, of course, I always believe in the interest of transparency and clarification when it comes to that type of stuff. To start off with, my name is Andre Class, and born, raised, lifelong resident of our fine county. And every waking moment of my being is devoted into making positive impacts on the issues, doing what I can to empower the citizenry, and trying to overcome the toxic political divides affecting our nation, to bring people together for the betterment of our local community, to preserve and enhance our quality of life. Throughout this campaign journey over the past 2 years, I have made a point to go around and learn more about the different perspectives on the issues as I've been going between different festivals, knocking on doors, and putting my best foot forward, even going many sleepless nights. And you should see the fire ant bites on my leg from this experience for sure. I want to do everything I can to make sure that our citizens are empowered and that we have a government that's more accountable to you each and every day. Because in the end, this is your destiny, your local quality of life. And the decisions being made, even though at this pandemic, these decisions continue to have far-reaching effects that will outlast COVID-19 and will, in the end, decide what's going to be around you, what's going to be the future of your natural land. And I'm going to be the biggest staunch advocate that you can have on the county commission to preserve and defend your rural boundary. And honestly, I'm going to address a point of concern. So after 410 failed, thankfully, Mr. Chris Dorworth decided to blow up the comment section of my celebratory post. And if defending the rural boundary makes me an ass clown, then I'm glad to be that. Because I will continue to stand up for the will and the voice of the citizens of our great county. Please visit my website at yournextcommissioner.com to learn more about me. And I hope to do everything I can and will continue to do everything I can to earn your trust and your vote on this November general election ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. I appreciate it very much. The next closing statement would be from Andrea Herr, who is the Republican candidate in District 5. Andrea, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So Andre and I share a couple of things in common, ant bites and being called names. So I am sorry that that happens in these situations. One of the reasons why I'm running is because I'm fearful with the nasty state of politics that the most qualified candidates don't run anymore. It doesn't matter what a person's stance is if they can't actually bring it to fruition. And so you really have to look at the resumes of the candidates before you vote to make sure that the people that you select not only agree with your politics, but also have the capability of coalescing the best of ideas on a committee of 5 and bringing at least 2 and possibly 3 additional votes along with them to make it happen. And it doesn't stop there. It goes much beyond that, in that they have to make sure that county staff executes, measures, and improves every time they do something in order to run an efficient government. One of the things that we hear loud and clear when we're out knocking on doors is this idea that we need more citizens' input, and you've heard all of us talk about that. And I think we need to flip the paradigm. It's not about creating committees and bringing them into the building and having them do a lot of work. That can work too. But in addition to that, our team needs to be coming out to the community, to your homeowners associations meeting, to town hall meetings when any major developments are being considered. We need to flip the paradigm. I am convinced that we all have more in common than we have apart. What we have is a gigantic communication gap, which is sincerely unfortunate. So what I ask for you to do is to make sure that you look at not only the business experience and track record, but you also look at the capabilities and the ethical standing of the candidates that you're electing. I bring the longest business background to this race, and I stand by my ethics and my reputation wholeheartedly. So I ask you for your vote in November, and I'll be here for you to help you as we fight off the offensive to the rural boundary.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate that very much. And the next closing statement will be Kimberly Buchheit. I'll get that right, Kimberly, eventually. You said I'd get it quickly, but it takes me a long time. Democrat candidate, District 3, 2 minutes. Kimberly, please.
Thanks, Richard. You did really great on that last one. Buchheit, like a little ghost saying,
Getting
"Boo,
there.
flying a kite." If you can't remember that, just remember kimforseminole.com is my website. It's my name on the ballot, but it should say "We the People." I found the courage to step up, to be the real deal, authentic citizens candidate in this race, to give you a genuine choice. I'm prepared and ready to represent the people, not the powerful special interests that have controlled Seminole County for far too long. I'm standing up for you, to be your eyes, ears, and your voice to protect what we hold most dear. All of us who have been around Central Florida for over 35 years have seen a lot of change, and much of it has not been for the better. Just a few examples of our decreased quality of life. We are spending more time in traffic, we're paying higher water and sewer bills, and we're watching our precious waterways and springs decline in health right before our very eyes. We can see what's happening for ourselves. We don't need anybody to tell us what a great job they've been doing. A little bit about my background. I'm a professional land surveyor licensed in the state of Florida. I'm also a business person. Since 1991, I have created over 100 jobs, and my business has supported numerous families that are now into their second and third generations here, and I'm really proud of that. I know what it's like for businesses and families to get through tough economic times and tighten the belt. I was with you when we stopped the swap, and I have never lost touch with the reality of what gets done at the kitchen table. I was doing what we all have to do over the last 40 years and figuring out how to do more with less. As a surveyor, I have extensive experience with public works projects and private development. I've been successful and have risen to the top of my profession in a highly technical field. I'm ready to put my skill set to work for the people of Seminole County. I appreciate what you do, the Geneva Citizens Association, Save Rural Seminole, Black Hammock Association, to preserve the rural lifestyle. I know what it's like to lose my rural lifestyle and my home. Some of you know that the Wekiva Parkway went through my home. And the irony is that's what puts me back in Seminole County as in a position to run for office.
Thank you, Kimberly. The next closing statement would be Lee Constantine, Republican candidate, District 3. You have 2 minutes, Lee, please.
Yes, and thank you. I want to thank the Geneva Citizens Association and all that have been part of this for the opportunity to be here today. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't move to Seminole County. I have lived in Seminole County my entire life. I went to Lyman High School and UCF. I have always maintained a full-time business while strongly believing in public service, representing you in the city, the state, and now the county. And I have also ran one of the largest charities in all of Central Florida, Charity Challenge, a volunteer, not-for-profit charity that has raised $6.6 million in its history. I have a history of fiscal responsibility while always promoting what I call the 3 E's: education, environment, and economic opportunity. I have a reputation of a consensus builder while working and is willing to work with anyone to find solutions. I have worked hard to protect Seminole County's quality of life, and while sometimes being outvoted, any casual observer knows that I have been the leader in fighting sprawl here in Seminole County and been the most ardent defender of the rural boundary. I, with you, stopped the swap. Seminole County's first to raise and to live as a family. We have been rated that, and I'm proud of that. But to keep that, we must protect first those who have invested their families and future in Seminole County. And I promise I will always be there and put you first in any of my decisions. This election is not about what happens in the White House, but what happens here in Seminole County in your house. It is about the people, not political parties, and it's about performance over promises. As long as I serve you, I will always do what I say. I will defend the rural boundary, and I will provide principled leadership. Check out my website, LeeConstantine4Seminole.com, and I humbly ask for your vote on or before November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee, very much. We'll now move on to the closing statements for the District 1 candidates. First to answer would be Katrina Shaddix. Katrina, you have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Richard, and thanks to everyone for having this forum tonight. As most of you already know, my family moved to Chiliota, the rural boundary, in 1940, making me a second-generation Seminole County native and my son a third-generation Seminole County native. I have lived, worked, and played in the rural boundary for over 50 years. I have many years of experience as a citizen activist and advocate. I have a proven track record of hard work and successes. I recently worked with Republican House Rep. David Smith, and we got my bear poaching bill passed not only with bipartisan support, but it passed unanimously in the House and Senate and was signed into law by the governor in July. That is no small feat. I am the most qualified and dedicated to protecting citizens' quality of life, the rural boundary, and Seminole County natural lands from the Black Bear Wilderness area in Sanford to Lake Proctor Wilderness area in Geneva. I'm the one with the guts, strength, and fortitude to take on the development cartel and reform Seminole, because it's time for Seminole to be a government for, by, and of the people. I'm Katrina Shaddix, also known as Mama Bear. I didn't back down in 2018. I'm not backing down now. And I'm gonna fight for what's right in Seminole County. I'm gonna do it in honor of Geneva patriarch, mentor, friend, and incomparable citizen activist Rocky Harrelson. May he rest in power. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina, very much. The closing statement would be Bob Delary, Republican candidate for District 1. Bob, you have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Geneva citizens, as well as the viewers here this evening. It's truly an honor and privilege to be here to express not just our views, but to answer your questions. We have a lot of hard decisions that's coming up in front of the County Commission. As you can see here tonight, a lot of your commissioners have, a lot of these candidates have a lot of the same views. Everyone's going to protect the rural boundary. It's how you protect it and what is also out there. I will tell you, as a county commissioner, the economics moving forward, economic development has to be our #1 priority, as well as protecting the rural boundary. Getting our economy moving forward and getting people with paychecks back in their hands is going to be job #1. Alongside of that, job #1A is continuing to protect the rural boundary. I have done that. I've done that from the beginning of the rural boundary back in 2004. I've done it several times Some of my most proudest moments as a county commissioner is a 4-1 vote, as well as a 4-2 vote. I'm sorry, 3-2 vote, as Commissioner Constantine actually said. It's important that you realize that whoever you elect, not only do they have to have the passion, they have to have the ability. And I will tell you, one of the key things about that ability is working across party lines and bringing people with you. Actually listening to the public, understanding what the public wants. I myself, I don't have a door on my office. As you, Richard, knows that you can call my office anytime you get an appointment. We don't ask what the topic is, we just give you a time slot. It's important we listen to the general public. And I will tell you, moving forward, one of the best things that happened with this pandemic is what we're doing here tonight with Zoom meetings, as well as other technology. We need to be getting out to the public more, as Andrew Hurd talked about. That's going to be another one of my priorities moving forward, to making sure that we have an educated public so they understand what's happening. But more importantly, we need to protect our environment. We need to protect our rural way of life. Seminole County, as Pinnell said, Florida's natural choice. It's not just a slogan for me. It's a passion. It's a way of life. And it's how I make my decisions. It's about the people here in Seminole County. I will ask each one of you, please consider me in November. Please vote Bob DeLaury as we move forward, because I need your help to make sure that our passion and our way of life is protected. Please vote Bob DeLaury November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you all for participating. And I'm of the old school, and we used to have grades for deportment. And I will say that you all get an A+ for deportment this evening, and I appreciate your forthrightness and wish you all luck in the coming election, and may the best people win to best represent the citizens of Seminole County. Again, we thank you for participating. I ask you to have a good night.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you,
Good
Richard.
night. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Right.
Good night.